everyone, and welcome to That 90s Spider-Man Show, a podcast where we talk about Spider-Man the Animated Series, episode by episode. My name's Henry, I'm one of your hosts, and this is Jack.
Hello.
And we're coming at you not live from the Spider-Man studios here in South London. Today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 9 of Spider-Man the Animated Series, where we're talking about everyone's favourite vampire in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Based on the movies.
I think in the comics as well, like there's some good vampires and there's some shitty vampires, and
We've already covered like the third best.
wait, which vampire are you talking about?
I'm talking about Blade, motherfucker.
Right.
Ice skating uphill, motherfucker.
Yeah, definitely everyone's favourite half vampire.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about Blade, guys. Everyone obviously knows Blade from the Wesley Snipes movies, where there's a lot of motherfuckers and leather, and that's it. That's all the movie is.
Yeah.
And they made 3 of them. First 2 great, third one not so great, and they're making another one with Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, that's really strange to me still.
I
I just, when they announced it, I was like, oh, cool, a Blade TV show. And then it was like, wait, no, it's a movie. And I'm like, I guess Mahershala Ali is just like,
Fine.
This is what I'm doing. And
He demanded this, and they were like Kevin Feige was like, this is a bad idea, but it's Mahershala Ali, and he won't do anything else.
You know what we'll say here is like, we're talking about the episode from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, but we'll get into Blade's movies and his comic books and shit later, because I think it's really interesting to talk about who is Blade.
Who is Blade?
Yeah, but
Who the fuck is Blade?
If you don't want to hear us talk about the show, you can like skip ahead to that point. I'll put timestamps in it or whatever. But
yeah,
for now, let's jump into
read the timestamp, motherfucker. So when we last left Spider-Man, he was going through a bit of a armor crisis. He turned into Man-Spider, thanks to the Punisher and to Kraven the Hunter. He is now a regular old Spider-Man again. And we kind of open on him kind of swinging through the city, as he tends to do.
And still on the lookout for Morbius, because last episode, basically, as we kind of saw in the previously on Spider-Man bit, last episode basically had no effect on anything.
Yeah.
Because he's back to the same position of, he's not cured, he's still got arms threatening to poke their way out of his ribs again, and Morbius is still floating around being an asshole.
Pretty much.
And that's it. They just like, Punisher came and then left.
It's like the equivalent of like being on your bus to work and like a crazy guy starts a fight in the bus and have to stop for 10 minutes before they can carry on.
Yeah, you know what the worst thing is, and this might just be a London thing, but that exact thing has happened to me more than once. You know?
It's all happened to me multiple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Spider-Man's swinging through New York, and through his good old exposition voiceover, we find out that what happened in the last episode, while it did like stop him becoming like a freak of nature, it's not permanent. So it could turn back into that thing at any moment.
Yeah.
And as we'll find out, yeah, it's actually more of a threat than you'd think.
Weird side note, love how he refers to it as Man-Spider.
There was no context for that whatsoever.
Yeah, like we know it's Man-Spider. He's like, I'm just going to name that transformation I had and just switch it around and give it a cool name.
Wouldn't he have like PTSD from that?
No, it's fine. I guess his life is a constant fucking nightmare, so it's just roll with it.
He's just broken on the inside. It's like, yeah, sure.
Just saying that, nothing that bad has happened to him so far.
Not to the point where like he turns into a huge monster.
Like, this makes more sense if Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy has died and Harry Osborn is turned into the Goblin and all this crazy shit had happened. Then it's like, then you get that gallows, like, well, all in a day's work.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's kind of...
This is the biggest challenge he's had to face, and he's just like, oh yeah, that happened. I'm gonna give it like a whimsical name. But yeah, it's like he'd kind of gone through like a really like bad job, bad relationship. It's come out of it. It's like, yeah, do you remember that stuff that happened? Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? I'm like a little sock puppet out of it. My abusive ex-girlfriend. Whatever. It's that level of flippant.
Yeah, there's a point when you can take flippancy so far that it becomes psychotic.
Yeah. Peter Parker being a little bit psychotic is like not a theme of this episode, but like a little thing where like, this guy's kind of an asshole.
Well, but also you've got like, I think it's offset by the fact you got Blade and you got Morbius, who are just like bigger, more psychotic assholes. So
yeah.
By contrast, he's alright.
He's just kind of a bit of a dick. But that's all coming up, folks. But for now, Spider-Man is swinging over to Dr. Connors to help him out with his mutation problem. But before he gets there, he's swinging through the park where we see a jogger. A jogger's running through and he hears a voice going, "Help me!" And as you would, as like a nice human being, you go and check out the struggling person begging for your help. And obviously it turns out to be Morbius just hiding in the bushes. And the first thing he does is just like take him out and like suck this guy's blood. And then at this point, I'm like, fuck you, Morbius, you asshole.
Yeah, I'm so sick of Morbius now. If anyone hasn't listened to the last couple of episodes, this dude's been hanging around for like multiple episodes now.
Just going through the same shit of,
Just the same thing of like draining someone of their plasma, floating away, going, oh god, what have I become? Stalking Felicia, seeing his reflection and going, oh no, I'm a monster. Then flying away, and then just a cycle of like, I'm not even going to try and get out of this situation. I'm just going to be a dick.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like, if I knew what this episode was going to be, I would have had a little bingo card with Morbius bingo.
Yeah.
And we'd win every episode.
Yeah, he's just kind of this background thing floating around so like cooler characters can show up.
Yeah.
Like Punisher and Man Spider and Blade. As much as I like the last couple of episodes, I'm just like, oh my god, can this Morbius arc end?
It's so pointless.
Yeah.
We're past the Man Spider shit. Like, we've almost ignored that to be like, no, what about Morbius? See what Morbius is up to. Yes, the main character is now like an 8-legged like spider monster, but Morbius is a bit like the Sony universe in real life. Anyway.
It's my Man Spider movie.
Yeah. If only. But it's coming, I feel. Spider-Man swings in to save the struggle, and he's like, Morbius, cut that shit out. Again. And Morbius kind of like throws him onto a rooftop, and they're fighting. And at some point, a guy on a motorcycle shows up.
Along with him comes like a guitar riff.
Yeah.
The cries of the Nightstalker are like music to my ears.
And some of you are probably wondering, Henry, you said they were on a rooftop. And yes, motorcycle. That happens. So this motorcycle like flies off of a building onto this building, and then like Morbius flies away and it chases Morbius up the building.
Yeah, like
it's not really explained.
It's explained in like kids cartoon. He like ramps off the rooftop onto the side of a skyscraper, and then like these ultra grip like stabby clamp things come out of the wheels so that it can drive vertically.
Yeah, just good grip. But as you'd expect, this motorcycle guy just kicks the shit out of Morbius. He throws a poison bomb on him and like incapacitates him somewhat, and he's like, I'm gonna finish you now. And Spider-Man steps in and saves him, and Morbius escapes, and this guy kind of like throws a bomb at Spider-Man, and the poison gas like engulfs him, starts to cough, and he goes, hold on, is this garlic? And you realise that this guy's just a bit of a fucking crazy guy. And he's Spider-Man kind of gets a bit pissed off at him. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know what level Spider-Man's at now, because he's like, he finds it ridiculous that this guy's got these garlic bombs to take down a vampire, but then
he's also like,
there's a vampire.
Yeah, there's a vampire loose and you're fucking around.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Like, at what point do you just start taking things at face value in this universe?
Like, Spider-Man, like, at this point, should not be surprised by anything or surprised by everything.
Although it must be annoying to get engulfed in a garlic bomb, because, I mean, you can eat some garlicky food and that stick around on your breath for ages, but if your whole, like, costume is just perforated with it, and it's just like, oh, I guess I just smell weird now.
Yeah. Every time you say something, they're like, you smell the inside of an Italian restaurant. And he's like, I know. Morbius has escaped. Spider-Man's angry at this motorcycle guy, so he kind of grabs him by the shirt and be like, I want some answers. At this point, his eyes go red and he goes some fangs, and Spider-Man's like, whoa, what the fuck? He drives away on his stupid motorcycle, and Spider-Man throws a tracer on him.
Yeah, I love the tracer thing, because it is like, it's basically always there for like, someone's going away at high speed and they can't be asked.
Yeah, fuck this.
Just like, I'll pick this up later, because in any other situation, if you didn't have those, then it's just like, oh fuck, I gotta keep this going. But he's like, I'm hungry. Let's go get some food.
I really take a piss.
Yeah.
It's like, ah.
Shit, I've never thought about that. Like, if you're crime fighting and you need a pee, you're in the middle of a fight, does he... I guess, like, if it's life or death...
He
like,
pisses himself.
Yeah, if someone's in a fire, okay, I'm going to pee myself while I'm swinging.
You do a Paul of Radcliffe for the greater good. Spider-Man, you spend like you pissed yourself, and he's like, do you want to live or die, man? I'm trying here.
This is probably why JJ doesn't like him as well. He's, like, pissing on all the rooftops and alleys, because you can't, like, just keep going into every bathroom, especially when the police are after you.
Yeah. And that costume takes a while to get out of there.
Yeah.
And if you're like a bartender and Spider-Man shows up at your bar and like, hey man, I gotta take a piss. Let me in.
You know, like, buy a drink.
Yeah, he'd be like, fuck off. Big costume fuck. And Spider doesn't carry change. Maybe what he does, he has like adult diapers. He just wears those all the time.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he needs a bit of cushioning.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, I don't know, there's just too much on show.
Like
Because I know they had that in the movie. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Andrew Garfield's one.
Well, even like
Tobey Maguire's?
Tobey Maguire. I think all of them. When you're wearing an actual suit, if you just wear that spandex, it's just too.
It's too much.
It just shows.
It's David Bowie and Labyrinth.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, we're not all David Bowie, so like maybe let's just like put like a crotch plate on this.
Yeah, and like, and I guess on a practical aspect, like if
He
you're
does
like,
swing crotch first into things a lot.
yeah, ugh. And I guess if you're like the Green
Going
Goblin,
100 miles an hour.
sometimes yelling crotch,
Yeah.
as told in the Amazing Spider-Man. And also for a practical aspect, like if you're the Green Goblin and Spider-Man's kicking your ass, and then you see like outline of his dick, you're like, easy target, and he's getting punched in the dick a lot of the time.
Well, I think people know generally where
Spider-Man's dick is.
Yeah.
But like it's a constant reminder, you're like, oh god, I'm getting my ass kicked by this guy with this, and I can see that on
Maybe
his
that's
dick.
part of it. That's like in the same way that he jokes to like put enemies off in mid-fight, is to just distracting them by
He's like,
them like,
fuck,
whoa, I can see so much of his anatomy, and then they get knocked out.
Spider-Man is not circumcised.
Oh. Okay, it's not that tight. It's not like vacuum packed.
Oh god.
Let's move back.
Please, swiftly on. Spider-Man kind of like, yeah, it's like, fuck it, I'll do it later. And he goes to find Dr. Connors. Meanwhile, we cut to Deborah Whitman and to the hardest working worker in the whole of New York. Who is this police sketch artist.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is earning his paycheck and a half.
Yeah, the one who did the sick man spider drawing last episode.
He's back. And Deborah Whitman is describing this weird figure that attacked her last time around. No, not Flash Thompson, Morbius. But, like, she doesn't know it's Morbius at this point. She's, like, describing a vampire, and our sketch artist, our hero, the true hero of this series, is sketching it down. He hands it to Detective Lee, and she kind of, like, sees this amazing drawing of Morbius the vampire. Cut back to, not the Hardy Foundation, but, like, Dr. Connors' lab, where, like, Spider-Man is now in pain. He's mutating again.
Yeah.
And where...
There's chubby baby arms sticking out of him.
There's little thalidomide, like, baby arms coming out of his sides.
Yeah.
And they're, like, kind of threatening to poke out, and he's like, hurry, Doc, how are you going to do this? Dr. Connors shoots him with the neogenic...
Plot gun?
The magic plot gun. He shoots him with that, and he's like, okay, you're fine, but you need this every 24 hours. Otherwise, you could turn back into a man spider at any point.
Mm-hmm.
He mutters something about maybe losing the plot gun because of, like, funding stuff, because the university's worried that, like, it's maybe dangerous.
Yeah.
After the lead scientist got turned into a lizard person, and, like...
But he doesn't... What was the thing? He knows something that wasn't even something I'd been thinking of. Like, he's like, ever since... Oh, no, Herbert Langdon.
Herbert Langdon.
He's like, after the whole Herbert Langdon thing of him being transformed into a giant monster or whatever, and it's like, what about you turning into a lizard?
The Scorpion.
The Scorpion. Now Morbius.
Yeah.
There was like a fourth one as well, I feel.
Like Spider-Man himself.
Oh, Spider-Man, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to
Like, you should have shown this, like, months ago.
Yeah.
But he's like...
Spider-Man, I don't know why he's trusting this gun.
Yeah.
He's probably going to turn him into like a 200-foot spider.
At some point, yeah. Or, like, maybe like a nice, like, little, like, tiny spider. Who knows? We'll see. And he also mentioned something about, like, maybe getting funding from the Toons Foundation. So, comic book fans will know to watch that space. Moving on. Spider-Man swings away, and he finds Morbius again. And once again, Morbius beats the shit out of him.
Spider-Man gets beaten up this whole episode.
I don't think he wins one fight.
And he also is constantly being thrown.
Yeah.
He's just being like...
Just chucked around like a rag doll.
Yeah.
And this time, Morbius was kind of get pissed off, and he kind of rips off a bit of Spider-Man's costume. That starts to drain his blood. And he starts to do it, but he doesn't finish it, because guess who shows up? But Motorcycle Dude again. At this point, we find out that the Motorcycle Dude is actually none other than Blade.
Who also, I don't think we pointed out, and maybe I'll put a little clip in or something, has like the graveliest voice.
Yeah.
It's at like kind of 11, razor sharp, angry, shouty.
It's like the Dark Knight Rises Batman.
Yeah, it's very extra.
It's like, I've been eating 4 packs of cigarettes today. And yes, I said eating. It's something. Blade is something.
Who are you? What do you want with me? Call me Blade. And all I want, vampire, is to destroy you.
Blade is my name, and fucking up vampires is my game.
Oh, put some more Dolemite into it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Blade is my name, and fucking up vampires is my game.
That's a good one, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Blade and Morbius fight again. Again, Morbius kind of escapes, And again, Spider-Man's like, don't kill the vampire. And Blade's like, I want to kill the vampire. And this time around, like, Blade's like, I'm not going to leave you alive this time around. So he throws Spider-Man off a building, and Spider-Man webs onto the building, and Blade cups that web. With it. Oh, fucking hell. Blade throws Spider-Man off the building, Spider-Man webs onto the building to save himself, and then Blade cuts that web.
With his laser sword.
He's got a goddamn lightsaber at this point.
Yeah. It's the coolest thing he's got going on. For sure.
Not cooler than the motorcycle, are you sure? Or his, like, spiked leather jacket?
Yeah, he's got the spiked leather jacket. I mean, this shit is cool for, like, a 4-year-old or 7-year-old watching this.
Not only a 7-year-old, but, like, a 7-year-old growing up in 1995?
Yeah.
So it's something.
Yeah.
Dear Lord. You get the whole, like, ad break thing of him, like, oh no, I'm gonna die. But he doesn't die. He just falls into...
I really thought he was... I was like, this isn't really much of an ad break because he's just going to web, like, swing away. But then, no, he just eats
He just falls to his death.
Yeah, he just, crashes
shit.
through.
I can only swing one web at a time.
You can even get the trademark, I don't have my web shooters on.
No, he just accepts his death.
Yep.
So it's actually kind of...
again.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, let Blade kill Morbius. Morbius is just being such, like... He doesn't want help.
He doesn't want help. He's been a dick to you personally. The only reason he did this was to fuck you over. Come on, Peter. If you hadn't, like, gone to save Morbius, you probably wouldn't have turned into a giant spider monster.
Yeah.
You'd be fucking right now, I'm assuming. Like,
well.
I mean, like, Mary Jane has been, like, calling him and shit like that.
Yeah.
And he's been, like, ignoring her. We'll get to that. As he's falling to his death, he's kind of falls into some awning, but he's able to escape and swing away. And at this point, he kind of realizes he needs help saving Morbius. With that in mind, we cut to where Blade's hiding out with his good old friend Abraham Whistler.
Mm-hmm. By the way, do you know who voices him?
No. I was thinking about who plays him in the movie, but I wasn't focusing on that.
Fucking Malcolm McDowell.
Oh shit, yeah.
It's just like weird. I was just like, oh, okay.
Sure, I guess. I mean, he wouldn't have anything better to do in 1995. So Whistler as Malcolm McDowell as Whistler explains to Blade, okay, what happened, Blade? And Blade's like, oh yeah, apparently Spider-Man created the vampire. And Whistler's like, oh, we should just talk to Spider-Man. And as he's saying that, Spider-Man shows up being like, what's up, bitches? Kind of webs like Blade to the wall, which he should have done like 2 or 3 times ago.
Yeah.
And like he's trying to explain it to him, but like Blade kind of like breaks out and starts to try and kill Spider-Man. But Whistler's like, dude, come on, just let him talk. And my favorite thing about Whistler in this is that like whenever like Spider-Man makes a quip, he just looks at him very blankly.
Whistler has no personality in this.
He's got no time for Spider-Man.
He's just there for exposition. And
it's Malcolm McDowell phoning it in.
Yeah, for Blade to rage at him.
Yeah.
He's basically the microchip, right?
Yeah, Microchip had a semblance of a personality.
Yeah.
Whistler's just like, I'm old and wise.
But he's not that old.
Or that wise.
Yeah. He's just a guy.
He's some dude.
Yeah.
Voiced by Malcolm McDowell. And Whistler kind of explains the origin of Blade. When he was a baby, his mother had sex with a vampire.
Wait, no. When he was a baby, his mother had sex with a vampire.
No. Yeah.
He's a half vampire.
Half human, half vampire. His mother is a human. Dad's like a really like Nick Nolte looking vampire.
Yeah, who just like ran away out of a window.
He's literally like, you see like Blade's mother like holding her baby, and like in the back of this like the frame, like his dad's like climbing out the window. So I ain't paying no child support. Which is just really funny to me. And at this point, I should probably mention that Blade is mixed race.
Yeah.
Like, the animation is terrible at showing this. I couldn't tell what colour he was until...
I was going to ask about this. Like, in my notes, I wrote, Blade is about as black as Peter Parker. When you know he's black, you can look at him and be like, okay...
there's elements of this.
Yeah, but...
You compare it to, like, Robbie Robertson.
But then there's other times in the show when you, like, look at Peter, and I was, like, looking at just, like, the literal colour of the skin, and I'm like... where Peter looks like slightly tan, and then it's like, okay, they look the same. It's just weird because Blade in the comics, and like forget in the movies, but like in the comics, he's always been darker than that.
Has Blade always been black in the comics?
Yeah.
I've never read the comics though.
Yeah, he's always been black, and he's always been like blacker than that.
We're going to come back to this because, like, the character design is something that I have a lot of questions about.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing for me that they decided to de-black him slightly.
Yeah. Not even to the point where he's not black at all, but, like, he's mixed race.
Wait, was his mum black?
His mum's black and his dad's white.
It could have been a black vampire.
But then, like, that doesn't make sense because all vampires are pale.
You could still have a black vampire.
Are there any black vampires?
Like, I think they're pale because they're like dead.
But like they're not like light skinned.
Like you don't, like, a black guy when he dies doesn't just become white.
Unless he's Michael Jackson. Moving on. Yeah, so we now know Blade's origin story. Effectively, he has all the good stuff of vampires, i.e. their strength and their speed, but he's not, like, vulnerable to sunlight. Spider-Man then goes like, oh yeah, like, he's nothing like Morbius, who's been created using his plot gun. And Blade's like, plot gun? Where is it? Tell me where it is, Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's like, no, because if I tell you, you'll destroy it.
And I need that juice.
I need to stop Morbius from dying. And Blade's response is, now you must die.
Yeah, Blade is just like that. He's just so angry constantly.
He's kind of a crazy asshole. And like Whistler's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, cut that shit out. And then Spider-Man kind of swings away, being like, this crazy motherfucker. But before he leaves, he kind of takes one of like Blade's like garlic bombs and like goes home to analyze it. And that's where we go next, to Casa del Parker, where Peter's kind of analysing the garlic, and as he's doing it, Aunt May kind of shows up being like, you've got a phone call, Peter. MJ's on the line. And then Peter's like, oh shit. Because he's been ghosting this poor girl for like 2 weeks straight. A funny thing for me is like, when Aunt May leaves, she like closes the door behind her and like chuckles to herself, going like, oh, young love.
Yeah.
And she's completely unaware of how much of a piece of shit her nephew is.
Yeah, I don't think I'm as hard on him as you are.
I'm kind of really annoyed by how this goes down on Peter's side.
Okay, yeah, sure, let's go with it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in the episode review segment, but...
Well, we can talk about it a bit now because it's about to happen. But
right,
yeah. MJ kind of says like, oh yeah, like there's something happening at university to find out what's going on with all like, the missing people. Yeah. Including you.
And do you want to come down and then like we can grab dinner afterwards?
Peter like completely misses the hint.
Yeah. I think and this goes more towards you saying it's a piece of shit. I think he gets the hint and he's like, yeah, but Morbius. My Spider-Man shit. I think he's like, yeah, I know where this is going, but this is actually useful to me. I don't need to like make an excuse why I can't go. Yeah. I don't think he's that oblivious. I think he's just like, oh, cool, like Clue.
But also, I'm not even gonna like explain to her that like I'm preoccupied. I've got things going on.
Yeah, he should say something. Although saying that, he is a bit worried about like turning into a giant man spider again.
I mean, yeah, before, but like,
I mean, that's his reasoning now. Like, he does say that as his not to her, but like that's his reasoning in his head. It's like, oh man, I can't be around her when I'm doing this. He's not actually like ghosting her. I mean, he's ghosting her. He's
definitely ghosting her.
But he's not. It's not like he's doing it just because.
But like, I think like in that situation, you got to explain like I'm going through some stuff.
Oh yeah,
she did the same thing for you.
He's doing it in a shitty way.
He's being completely shitty.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's not just doing it because he feels like it. He's got a good reason to be a shithead.
But he is being a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so now we are at ESU where like Detective Lee is here, and she's like going through the details of the case, going like, so maybe the vampires and Spider-Man and the big spider monster are all connected. And Peter kind of shows up a bit late, being like, hey, what's going on? And she immediately kind of zeroes in on him, going like, hey, so don't you take pictures of Spider-Man, where is he? And he is obviously quite elusive.
Yeah.
And then she's like, she just completely turns on him.
Yeah, she gets like brutal out of nowhere. Yeah. I don't understand how she thinks it's going to get any information, but it's so mean.
Yes, she's being a dick. And like, you think about this as a teenager. He's maybe 19 years old.
Yeah.
And she's going, well, like, I guess, like, you and Fleischer were getting kind of, not handsy, but like close before this all kind of went down and Morbius showed up. maybe you've got something to do with this, Peter. Or someone's always going to get hurt when like shit like that goes down. And obviously it's Felicia, whose boyfriend has been missing.
Yeah, and Felicia's in the room while she's saying all this shit as well.
And she just runs out.
And MJ, yeah.
Felicia runs out being kind of upset, and Peter's like going to comfort her.
Yeah.
As you would do.
Yeah.
And then she's like, where do you think you're going? And he's like, you cussed out this poor girl's boyfriend in front of her. Yeah. Like, comfort her.
He takes it pretty well considering how mean it is.
Yeah. And like, I'll give Peter credit for this. But as he's leaving, Detective Lee is like, hey, I'm watching you. And then he goes outside. And this is when he kind of fucks up a little bit.
Yeah.
He fucks up a little bit. Not completely, but he's like, you should read the situation a bit better than what he's doing. So, Felicia runs outside this tree. The tree's not important, I don't know why I brought it up. But yeah, she's like, oh, I miss Morbius, who have been dating for 2 weeks. But he's been missing for like 4 at this point. And Peter kind of like just holds her for a little bit. So yeah, Mary Jane kind of follows him out, being like, oh, Peter just ran off to chase us Felicia. I'm assuming she didn't know about them beforehand. But she's kind of watching like Peter like comfort Felicia, like give her a nice like intimate hug. Which, considering how that things ended, like he's being empathetic and like he's showing that he cares, but like there is no way that doesn't look terrible.
You know what? Like, because they linger on this because obviously Mary Jane has seen them hugging.
She's not anyway.
I think if Mary Jane was any kind of a reasonable person, she'd be like, Peter and Felicia know each other. Their like mutual acquaintance has gone missing, and she's crying and is upset. Peter comforts her and gives her a hug. The idea that you look at that and then be like, oh, what's he doing with her? Is like
she jumps to a conclusion. This is why I'm like,
I don't think it's a shitty thing to do. Even I don't think it's even.
I don't think it's shitty, but it's a bit like
maybe if he was like, oh, okay, let's go out to dinner, or like let's go back to your apartment and I'll like I'll make sure you're okay. I'll take care of you. That's different. But like he's literally just like hugging her while she's crying.
But the thing is, as well as like Mary Jane, someone else is watching her, that being Detective Lee, who's having accused Peter of all this shit.
It's just watching, taking notes.
Yeah.
They're hugging.
I
made a teenage girl cry.
This is all put into murder.
God.
It's a little bit of a clusterfuck. But the second most significant thing is that Mary Jane is watching all this intensely jealous, and then good old Harry Osborn walks out.
Yeah.
Right person, right place, right time.
Yeah, and then as we sort of predicted last week, there is that nice guy there at the right time to be nice when the other guy is like being absent.
We've been there in different times of our life.
Yeah, so he's the shoulder to cry on. But also it is like at this point it's more like, well, Harry's hanging around and actually like being nice and hanging out with her and likes her and
They've hung out once before this.
Yeah, but I mean, he's physically there and Peter just isn't.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I understand why she's like, you know what, let's go.
Fuck it, let's go get a drink or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But the most important thing to note from this scene is that Morbius is seeing all of this go down.
This like fucking OC episode.
Yeah.
It's fucking One Tree Hill.
Exactly.
Like nonsense, and he's there watching like...
Yeah, also like mid-2000s indie going on in the background.
Yeah.
The Dandy Warhols or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, Peter's trying to steal my girl. I'm gonna kick his ass.
Yeah.
He has his own like version of like, it's not worth it, bro. But he's the person saying that it's not worth it, bro.
Yeah.
Because he looks in his reflection again.
Oh, God.
And kind of says, she can't see me like this. Again.
God, he's so annoying.
Fucking Morbius. Has he just been hanging around, I guess? Like,
just floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He flies away and he breaks into ESU and he steals the plot gun.
Yeah.
For like his nefarious plot purposes. And he flies to a rooftop again, where like none other than Blade is like there and he stuns him with some light. Morbius throws a brick at like the motorcycle and breaks his like tail light, or no, his front light. Blade being black, you know he's gonna get pulled over for that at some point.
Well, not for like riding up the side of a building.
Yeah.
Very
you'd like, lights out. Can we search your bike? So yeah, Blade kind of like doesn't get pulled over. Well, probably off screen he gets pulled over. And Morbius kind of shows up, and since he's been like sucking off Spider-Man, he's gotten a lot stronger. So he has like, I guess, like his own like strength plus Spider-Man's strength, and he's like showing off that like, yeah, I can take on both you and Spider-Man now. And he like kicks Blade's ass. He's like carries him over to the smokestack. It's about to like drop him into the smokestack.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking metal.
Yeah.
And as he's doing this, he does what everyone does with like the plot gun does. He starts plotting to turn the world into whatever they are.
Yeah, he starts saying like, oh, now everyone can be a vampire like me.
And then you guys will be the freaks.
Yeah, it's very Lizard in
it's
The Amazing
stupid
Spider-Man.
because at least like the lizard thing happened by accident and he doesn't know how to fix it. But Morbius is like, yeah, I like being like this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's got power. I mean, the thing is, the jump from that to everyone should be a vampire is like...
It's a huge jump.
But again, it's like another 1001th... 1001st reason that Spider-Man should just let Blade kill this motherfucker. Like,
dear Lord.
Like, at this point, he's like, I don't care, I'm not a good person. And then Spider-Man's like, but we gotta save Morbius.
Because he's done nothing but be an asshole.
Yeah.
And he's a bad scientist as well.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like, in terms of motherfuckers, this one is skating uphill.
Yeah.
Absolutely skating uphill.
Always.
He's always skating uphill. And, so Spider-Man should have saved Blade, and he webs up Morbius, and this time it works because he's got, like, garlic in his webs now.
Yep.
Which he mentions. Yeah. But yeah, Morbius kind of, like, escapes eventually and flies off, and Blade's like, you got a lot to learn about vampire hunting, boy. Don't know why he speaks like that.
I mean, it's quite close, actually.
Yeah. And Spider-Man's like, no, you're crazy, but he's, like, also realising that he needs a plot gun because otherwise he can't, like, save Morbius. He can't really save himself either. And the episode kind of ends in him, like, Spider-Man, like, following Blade on his big, dumb motorcycle. And that's how it ends.
I mean, I just watched the episode, but you describing that end had the same feeling of like, oh, we're done?
We're done.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
It just ends.
It just ends. There's no, like, big, like, build-up of, like, oh, shit, like, Spider-Man and Blade are gonna team up. It's like, it's kind of like the same thing Spider-Man's going through of, like, I guess we're teaming up with Blade now.
And I'm very, very disappointed that Spider-Man didn't get on the back of the motorcycle and ride away with him.
You know Blade would stab him if he did that.
I know, but that's why I wanted it, because it would have been so weird.
Yeah.
That would have made this episode a lot better.
Stay alert, web slinger! It's gonna be a long night!
What do you think of this episode, by the way?
Low tier.
I wanted to like this episode so bad, but I hate Blade so much in this.
I don't think I have this hatred. Like, I feel like you're like, you see him drive a motorcycle up the wall, and you're like, that's dumb, and I'm like, sure.
I would actually give that a pass if like the actual character was cool. But he's just kind of a crazy asshole.
Yeah, and I think especially following it on from having the Punisher last episode.
He was an excellent Punisher.
Yeah, he was a good Punisher, and he had like a lot of character to him. And Blade is just angry, but like they don't also do anything with him. Like I think they're riding on the coolness of him so much.
But they kind of fucked it up. They're like it's kind of like if they replaced like Wesley Snipes with Cuba Gooding Jr. And he's doing like a Wesley Snipes impression.
I mean, I would say though that I think kids would find this version of Blade cool.
Kids are stupid. I'm gonna get a record of saying kids are fucking stupid because this is bad.
This is a kids show though. That's not be around.
Is it a kids show, Jack?
Yeah,
it's a kids show. That's a fair point, but like
I'm not to say that you're not allowed that opinion, but if you start being like
upset about it,
if you start being like fuck them kids, then like
yeah, that's fair. I'm sorry, kids. Henry messed up. But yeah, this episode was probably the worst of season 2 for me.
Oh yeah, definitely the worst of season 2. Maybe the worst total.
Which is it makes me really sad because it's Blade, and I'm like, I love Blade.
But the thing is, we'll get more Blade next episode though, so maybe that will like level it up. Like now we just got the exposition, but we've had a string of like pretty decent episodes lately, so
it was due a dip.
Yeah,
I guess, but yeah, like. Even from, like I guess like the most interesting part for me is like the non like action stuff, like the ramifications of having like Peter and Felicia like having a bit of a moment, Harry and MJ having a bit of a moment.
Yeah.
Like people like being a bit more like suspicious of like, Peter Parker, especially like the Detective Lee.
Yeah, I like Detective Lee, even though she's been like a
crazy person.
Yeah, she's been a complete dick, but like it still felt like stuff was moving.
Yeah,
whereas the Morbius stuff was very like all the encounters with Blade Morbius, and Spider-Man were exactly the same. There's like 3 of them, or maybe even 4 of them.
I'd say, yeah.
But it's just like every time they fight, Spider-Man saves him. Blade's like, why are you doing that? Spider-Man's like, I want to save him. Blade's like, nah, fuck vampires. And then that just happened a bunch of times.
Morbius will escape.
And Morbius is boring now, and
he started off kind of boring, and he just got more boring.
Yeah, and Blade just isn't interesting enough in this.
He doesn't have any kind of, like, character.
He's angry.
He's just angry. And not even in, like, a coiled rage kind of, like, impressive angry. He's just a bit unhinged.
Yeah, but...
And, like, if you're, like...
But that can be good sometimes, but it just isn't really here.
If you were, like, what's it called? Like, Whistler, you'd be like, I trained him in all of this. And you're like, no, you didn't train him. You put him in leather and you let him loose.
Yeah.
There's no, like, discipline or, like, intelligence or strategy about Blade.
The interesting thing with this is, like, while we're not particularly impressed with Blade in this episode is basically why the movie happened.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, because apparently after the script was finished for this episode, but, like, before I think the episode had aired, the script was given to David S. Goyer by Avi Arad. And
of course, Avi Arad.
David S. Goyer was sort of, like, inspired by it and went on to write the Blade movie. So
inspired by doesn't mean, like, I can write better shit than this.
Yeah, maybe. But, like, I think it was more of, like, oh, this is, like, IP-wise, like, this is a marketable thing. Yeah. Like, we could do something with this guy.
Yeah.
But, like, as we'll discuss when we get into the comic stuff, like, Blade is, like, way more of, like, a non-entity than I thought he'd be.
I think Wesley Snipes kind of make this character work.
The thing with Blade is you think a lot of the time when there's a movie, it can kind of take all the attention to that so that people don't really realise that certain aspects of it don't come from the comics, or they do, or that there's this huge history. As far as I can tell from the reading I've done, like, those movies are kind of at the centre of all this. Before that point, Blade was kind of just here and there, and then after that point, he was completely defined by how he was in those movies. But let's go back to the start. Blade's real name, Eric Brooks, just a regular name.
Yeah.
You can see why he went with Blade.
Yeah, it's like Tiger Woods. How, like, he's originally called something like Eldridge Woods or something like that.
You brought that up like 4 times on
because
this
it's an amazing story to me. That at one point he just went, call me Tiger, and everyone just went with it.
Yeah, and at some point Eric went, call me Blade.
I would laugh in his face. I'd be like, fuck you, dude.
Well, maybe you would to the guy in the episode, but not so much in the comics, because he is actually kind of cool in the comics.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess you let if you want, just put down the sword. Also, like, he has an actual sword in the comics, right? Well, this goddamn lightsaber shit.
Well, that's an interesting thing, actually, because a big thing in the comics is that the reason that I think he was called Blade is because he carries around knives with it. But his whole sort of gimmick at the start is that he has wooden knives.
Go for the wooden stake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's his whole thing, is that he just has these short knives. And, wait, let's see.
That makes more sense than whatever's going on.
Yeah. He first turned up in 1973 in Tomb of Dracula number 10.
As you would expect.
And this is that front cover. And this is how he looked back in the day.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He looked a lot different. He's, like, not in leather at all.
He's like James Brown a little.
Yeah, he's got, like, he always has, like, these green sunglasses on that are almost like goggles. He's, like, just like a trench coat. And, like, and he basically turns up in this sort of anthology of Tomb of Dracula, which is just about people trying to kill Dracula. It's worth pointing out at this point. Dracula exists in the Marvel Universe. He's actually, like, a surprisingly good villain.
Yeah.
He's mostly in these sort of horror comics, because I think it is kind of weird for him to turn up too much in, like, say, a Spider-Man comic or Adventures or something.
Yeah, like Peter Parker's trying to get a date for, like, the prom, and then Dracula shows up. He has to fight him.
Although there is, like, a couple of issues with Dracula and Spider-Man, but it's like in a team-up thing. I should
stop trying to make, like, jokes about plots in comics, because they always turn out to be actual plots.
Yeah. So in that original issue, Blade is made up by writer Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. Basically, he's introduced where there's this group of vampire hunters. Blade is kind of the wild card character who kind of comes in and is, like, youthful. He's speaking in a lot of, like, what I assume white writers thought black people spoke like in the 70s. For lack
of a better word, jive.
Yeah. And he does say dig a lot.
course he does.
It's pretty good. I do like it. But anyway,
this is like peak 70s comics. Isn't
exactly,
it?
yeah. And then he basically turns up and he's like, he saves some people from vampires. He basically doesn't give a fuck. And when people are like, you can't go after Dracula, he's too strong, he's like, I don't give a fuck.
I'm Blade, motherfucker.
He's just the knife guy.
The wooden knife guy.
Basically, Dracula turns out, takes control of a cruise ship.
Is it species like Speed 2?
Yeah.
Speed 2?
Yeah, basically.
Today, this boat cannot go under 30 miles an hour.
Well, he basically, he steers it off course, much like Willem Dafoe in Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Keanu Reeves isn't there, so Sandra Bullock has to stop him.
You know what the funniest thing about the subtitle Cruise Control is that it makes sense because you're like connecting a driving thing with like a cruise ship. But cruise control is not like a cool.
It's leisurely.
It's like relaxing, like I'm on a motorway and I just don't want to have my foot down for an hour. But it's going to be this high octane movie. But basically, in his first issue, Blade puts on a scuba suit and swims to the boat, and then gets on board, chases after Dracula.
Does he take his motorcycle to the boat?
Nope.
Okay.
No motorcycle.
Oh, thank fuck.
And then he gets there and basically takes down Dracula, but like Dracula ends up being like, fuck this, and then flying away because Dracula has to come back.
Yeah.
And then he also turns up in Vampire Tales number 8 the following year. Vampire Tales we spoke about a few episodes back because Morbius turns up in those a lot. But like these black and white vampire comics.
Uh-huh.
And some of the Blade issues in that are actually pretty good. Gothic stories of him just like going to take down some vampires. I think it's coming shortly after the comics code started allowing them to do like violence and vampires and shit again. So they kind of go all in and are actually super violent, and like a lot of like characters just fucking die, which is kind of cool actually.
Yeah.
He ends up probably joining that team of vampire hunters, at which point he like starts revealing a bit more of himself.
In like a character way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And he doesn't have a vampire father and a human mother like he does in the show. That was made up for the show. Mm-hmm. But in this, he reveals that he hates vampires because during his mother's labor, Dracula started sucking his mother's blood.
What an asshole.
Basically, Dracula pretended to be the doctor so that he could go in.
Dr. Dracula. Dr. Acula.
Exactly, Dr. Acula.
Oh my god.
I can't remember if it was actually Dr. Acula, but they say it's Dr. Acula. Is that as good as like in Castlevania where Dracula's son is Alucard?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he like bites his mother and Dracula's like shooed away, I guess.
Like a bird in like a kitchen.
So someone gets a broom, like whacks him.
Please, not the broom.
But he leaves and the mum dies, Blade is born, and he survives. Later on, this is then retconned so that the vampire that bit his mother is Deacon Frost, who turns up in the movies, as like a big arch nemesis. And then it was later changed again so that the mum was a prostitute and he grew up in a brothel to make it darker, I guess.
More like 90s edgy.
Wow, this is the 70s.
Is this still the 70s?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of racist, I feel. Yeah,
probably. Well, initially he wasn't, but then they later retconned it. I can't remember when they retconned it. It might have been the 80s, not sure.
Yeah, that feels like a brothel's either like edgy or it's like kind of just like, all black people grew up this way.
There is a common thing with black superheroes I find like in the comics where like they, like I'm pretty sure like Falcon like used to be a pimp or some shit. There's some like really dumb stuff with the origins.
Like weird racial stuff.
Yeah, like I think some of the early Luke Cage stuff has some dodgy shit in there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, but anyway, Blade mostly stayed in horror comics and stuff until he crossed over into Adventures into Fear, which is a series which had like a lot of Man-Thing. Oh, yeah. But he's in that, and that's when he first like fights Morbius in that issue. He also later temporarily kills Dracula because Dracula always comes back. Dracula comes back and bites him.
Oh shit!
And that's the point when it's revealed that because of how Blade was born, he is immune to being bitten by and turned by vampires.
Yeah.
But he's still a regular human. He just can't be turned into a vampire.
Yeah, sort of Dr. Dracula.
He basically doesn't do much in the 80s, but then towards the end of the 80s, there's this series where he crosses over into Doctor Strange comics, and Doctor Strange takes on Dracula, and Blade sort of comes along for it. And it's over a couple of issues, basically. Doctor Strange reveals that basically this vampire stuff started with a curse, and the curse comes from the Darkhold, which is this evil book, which we also spoke about last episode. Yeah, but basically Doctor Strange ends up getting the Darkhold, and they trick Dracula. It's a pretty cool series of issues of them fighting against Dracula, but then Doctor Strange removes the curse, and Dracula turns to ash, and every vampire dies.
Oh, yeah?
So they just wipe out all vampires, like vampire genocide, this issue. And then vampires just aren't in the Marvel Universe for like a long time.
Oh, shit.
At this point, Blade starts a detective agency with Hannibal King.
Oh, thank God.
Hannibal King in the movies was played by Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't seen Blade Trinity actually, but like I'm aware that like apparently the character's nothing like the comics. In the comics, he's a vampire who resists the urge to drink blood and tries to take down
vegetarian
vampires.
vampire, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. An ethical vampire.
Yeah, I think vampire.
He ends up surviving because of a spell Doctor Strange does. He ends up surviving, being like last vampire or whatever. But then the vampire curse is removed from him, and they just go and start detective agency for a while. And then that's when, like, again, Blade's not in any of his own series. He's just always turning up in other people's stuff.
Yeah.
But then in the 90s, there's a series called Nightstalkers.
Ooh, of course, the 90s. Nightstalkers.
This is when Blade gets sort of revamped. He starts looking like this.
Oh, yeah.
And this is when he looks completely different. The green shades go. He's all in black. He's got the studs on the shoulders, and he starts looking like he does in this show.
He's got a goddamn haircut as well. It looks like...
Yeah, there's no like afro now.
Yeah.
Basically, the Night Stalker series is just like a load of dark characters that I think they're also called like the Midnight Suns. And it's like Ghost Rider and Morbius turns up sometimes. And it's just like all these dark parts of the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. And he's in that in a while. And that's when he actually started getting a little bit more popular. And he ended up getting his like a 3-issue solo series in the early 90s. And it's actually really good. It's pretty simple stuff, but like, and I should say at this point, Blade's character is basically just hates vampires.
Yeah.
But like, he is brutal, like to the point that he's kind of like the Punisher, and like he's not like a good person.
He just really, really has like one like thing that he does, and he does it very well.
That story is like a noir, like PI sort of thing of like a woman comes to him with a problem, and then he's kind of, sure, I'll solve this for you, but makes it clear that he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know, and then he's kind of lonely and lives on his own. And I feel it's really hard to get right, but when they get it right, it's really good.
It is very hard to get right.
But then after that, that was sort of successful. Then this episode of the animated series comes out. Then the movie gets announced, and they do a couple of like these one-shot issues in the lead up to that. Then the movie comes up. But in terms of the idea of him having like shared powers of the vampire, this show was the first to do it.
This created the canon we set now.
Yeah, and that's what was then sort of added into the movie. And I'm not sure like the exact way it matches up. I think after that first movie, Blade gets bitten by Morbius in a crossover with Spider-Man. He gets bitten during that fight, and in a later issue when he has another solo series in the early 2000s, which maybe after Blade 2 or like...
around the time Blade 2 was coming out.
But it's in that they then reference he has the powers of a vampire but without the weaknesses, and it's the same as in the movie, but they just refer like, oh, it's because he got bitten by Morbius, who isn't a regular vampire. He's like a science vampire, so like reacted weirdly with the fact that he can't be bitten by vampires.
Yeah, like, and also vampires cannot exist in this universe.
Well, the vampires end up coming back, but I didn't read the issue where they came back, so I'm not sure how it happened.
I'm assuming some dumb plot shit.
Yeah, but they did disappear for like at least like 5 years, and Morbius doesn't count as
a vampire because it's technically like a scientific accident.
Yeah, and one of the greatest things about it is like there's a point where like Morbius first comes in contact with vampires, and it's like, what? like vampires exist. And it's like it's just a funny idea to me because he's basically a vampire, but because in his world vampires don't exist, finding out they do, it's like, oh, I guess the classic version is also here.
I guess I'm like the artificial version. It's like some vampire appropriation going on. He's like, has to apologise to all these vampires for like appropriating their culture.
Yeah, he's like, oh, sorry guys, I didn't know.
Morbius is cancelled in the vampire world.
Yeah, God, poser. It's almost like people who like wear like lensless glasses.
Yeah,
whatever. It's like that level of like, you don't have to do this. You just did science.
Yeah, super douche. Yeah.
It's also kind of like established in these issues that Blade isn't really doing any of this for a good reason. Like, he's doing this because he hates vampires and he loves killing them.
He's technically committing hate crimes.
Yeah, and that actually kind of comes up in a way like some people are like, ask for his help, but then he's like, sure, I'll murder them. And they're like, wait, no, I wasn't saying murder people. And then he's like,
I can't hear you.
And he's like, what, you want them to survive and kill people? And they're like, I guess not. And he's like, okay, I'll just go murder them. He takes joy in it. Like, one issue I read, he like takes this one guy down who was trying to kill this woman. And the guy's a massive asshole, but he like takes him out. And the first thing he does is he surprise attacks him by shooting him so that he shoots his fangs and his teeth out. And
it's gonna fucking hurt.
Beats the hell out of this guy. When the guy tries to fly away because he like grows like bat wings, he like fucks up the wings. And then he doesn't kill him. He just nails him to his arms to the top of this building and just leaves him there until sunrise.
Oh, fucking hell.
These comics are like, they were kind of like aware of the darkness for the most points.
Yeah.
Like that one like 3-issue miniseries he had like in the early 90s is really good for that. Less so later on.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He has another solo series which I read one issue of, and it was pretty damn bad, to be honest. It was, they just went, I don't know, it's like almost like they got high on the idea of him being cool, and they made him just this asshole who's like unbeatable and is now like super ridiculously hench and tall and super muscular and always topless.
Oh, yeah.
Just killing a million vampires and making quips, and it's just really shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then I read the first issue of another series, which is from like 2005, which was just about like vampires infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. And it was like okay, but not great.
That sounds kind of insane.
I feel like John Wick is one of the few exceptions to the rule that if you keep telling your readers or your audience that your main character is cool, you start realizing they're not cool.
I think with the John Wick that works is that they're not like, oh, this guy's the best, man. It's more like, oh shit, this guy's here.
I think they are kind of like it.
I think in the later movies a bit, but like the first movie is all about like this guy like, what? John Wick is back? He just gets like this vodka out and starts drinking?
Yeah.
Fuck!
Yeah, but that's what I mean, like, but...
Like, I don't... Yeah.
I guess there is a distinction, but yeah, they go really hard on making Blade cool, and it just kind of
makes him less
work.
Cool as a consequence.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like
Batman a little bit.
And I think there might be another Blade series which has started like a couple of years back, and I did read an issue of Blade versus Wolverine, which was shit.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
It's pretty bad, but I was surprised how little Blade comics are. There's a lot of him starring in them, but in terms of
actual comics,
there's a lot of like solo series that ran for like 2 years and then ended. And I always heard before, like, you know, things like Doctor Strange, his series kept getting cancelled over the years and stuff, but there's still like hundreds of issues there. But Blade, it just like never really came together, and each of these individual series have like different kind of personalities and are trying a new thing with Blade, and then a year later they're cancelled, and then he comes back like 5 years after that, he gets another solo series.
Yeah.
And
hey guys, I'm cool now, guys.
Yeah, and then the rest of them are like crossover things where it's like, okay, there's a Fantastic Four thing, and then Blade turns up, and then you just quickly establish who he is, and then he's gone again. As I was reading it, I was realizing, apart from that 3-issue miniseries I mentioned before, and some of the earlier Vampire Tale stuff, in terms of him being in a Marvel universe, I don't really know who Blade is.
Like, there's no, like, quintessential, like, Blade move, rather, in the way there is, like, a Peter Parker thing, or, like, a Tony Stark thing, or, like, a Steve Rogers thing.
And that's the weird thing, right? Because when it comes to these movies, like, I need to rewatch the Blade movies, and I still haven't seen Trinity, but there's usually this idea of, like, either an adaptation fucked up and we need to do it again, or it's just been a while and now we can do it as part of the MCU or whatever. But there's this idea, especially with the MCU, of, like, going back to being faithful
to the comics. And that would be a terrible idea.
But I don't know what they'd be faithful to. They're almost like, well, let's just do the cool stuff that we have and not try and step on the toes of the Wesley Snipes Blade movies, you know?
I kind of think, especially with someone like Mahershala Ali in the role, the thing that makes Blade work in the original movies isn't Blade himself. It's Wesley Snipes. What you're seeing that you like about Blade is Wesley Snipes being Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
And the movie where, like, Wesley Snipes is the least Wesley Snipes, i.e. when he's high as shit through the entire movie, is Blade Trinity. And that's the worst one because the movie's ride entirely on his personality. Do you remember, like, the very first scene of the first movie? Where they're in the club?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing...
Which they then tried to recreate in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
Oh, fucking hell. But yeah, there's a part, like, that kind of sticks out to me as, like, a quintessential Blade moment where, like, he's fighting all these people and then, like, the police come in.
Right.
And someone shoots him and that goes off of his, like, chest plate. And his reaction is like, motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind? And it's, like, just a very intensely Wesley Snipes thing to do. But I kind of was, like, connect this with Blade as a character.
Some of those early comics, he does have a lot of personality, you know? And that's why it kind of works, especially when he's in a crew of people who are very serious about vampire killing, and then he's kind of, like, very egotistical and, you know, driven and all this shit. Yeah.
I guess that's one thing. That's not a personality, it's a character trait.
Yeah, it's almost like a trope, you know?
Yeah. The guy who hates vampires calls a vampire does something to when he was young. It's a starting point, but it's not, like, enough to build an entire person on, you know?
Yeah, and it's just interesting because I feel like I'm sure there's going to be something in the new movie that nerds find a reason to be mad about. It'll be like that thing where people are like, oh god, SJWs are making them do a female version of the Hulk. And it's like, you guys didn't know that She-Hulk's been around since the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might happen a lot with Blade because people are like, Blade has to be this. And then it's like, does he?
We made this up in the 90s. Most of this is Wesley Snipes ad-libbing.
Yeah, it's not even just the look, you know, like
it's the mannerisms.
And they changed the origin as well.
Yeah, they made it a better origin.
Yeah.
Like, no Dr. Acula in the movies.
Yeah, not just like a vampire hunter, and then at some point they just go, oh yeah, I can't get bitten.
For, like, stupid plot shit. It's like, yeah, he's half human, half vampire.
And that's basically, I'm pretty sure that was only there so that they could do the, oh shit, Blade got bitten cliffhanger and then be able to walk it back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like, turns out I was fine the entire time. You know, we've been talking about Blade for a while, and while, like, I enjoy the comic origins, I feel like we could be talking about Blade more. Do you think we should do, like, an extra podcast about just Blade?
No.
Fair enough.
No, I think we should. I think we might have to have some kind of bonus episode talking about the Blade movies.
What a great idea.
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't have talked so much about the Blade movies this time.
If you're interested to see what we have to say about Blade beyond this episode, we've got a whole, like, thing planned where we're going to actually, like, hopefully just go through all three of the Blade movies.
Yeah.
I guess because the coronavirus, we have a lot of time on our hands, and it's a bigger thing to do with it, you know? But yeah, like, stay tuned for that, because we're really interested to, like, rewatch them and, like, see how they match up to, like, how they feel in my head.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of the comic book origins.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
As you know, we have our social media, we have our, like, podcast stuff, so go on Spotify, go on Apple Podcasts, go on SoundCloud, go on Twitter, Facebook, Stitcher, all the fucking places. You know where to find us. And yeah, please do that. Please interact with us. We're desperately lonely.
Go on the blog if you want, like, any of sort of comic panels and stuff from the stuff I talked about today. I've got one last thing to ask, though.
Oh, yeah?
You know how, like, Black-sploitation movies, you know, come up with dumb names like this Blacula,
oh yeah,
this Blackenstein, and all this shit. But I have a question, right?
Okay, here we go.
What if Blade is just the black version of another name.
Like Wade?
Yeah. Like, there's the white vampire hunter called Wade. And then it's like...
This is Black Wade.
Black Wade is Blade. And this whole time...
We were thinking like it's about the blades he carries around, but no.
I mean, he is like almost like a Blade-sploitation character, and they're just like Blade.
He's a very much Blade-sploitation character.
Yeah.
Do you know they work backwards? Do you think he was like, yeah, I'm Black Wade, I'm going to call myself Blade now? And then he got the blades, be like, oh yeah, this isn't like a race thing, this is just because I have these wooden blades.
If you are black and you're called Wade, you have permission to call yourself Blade.
It's okay. Like, I get why I said about Tiger Woods earlier, like, that's perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, it's weird, but it's fine.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I don't begrudge you that.
If you want to be Blade the Blampire Blunter, go ahead.
God damn it.
Live your truth, right?
Live your best life. Jesus Christ. That's probably a good place to say goodbye to that anti-Spider-Man show for another week.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember...
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, first of all. I had like a weird thing I was...
Remember...
And remember, if you're ah, shit, I can't think of it now. Fuck it. Go about your lives.